Woman with family ties to White House press secretary Karoline Leavitt was arrested by ICE. Y'all, that is the headline that has been splashed all across social media, mainstream media, everywhere you look. They are dragging Karoline Leavitt's name through the mainstream media mud and social media mud, all because her brother happened to have a baby with somebody who's technically an illegal immigrant. I don't know what this has to do with Karoline Leavitt, but anything the left can use to try to smear the right, they're gonna do it, right? So Karoline Leavitt has a brother. That's not, a bad thing. It's not like she's done anything wrong there. But she has a brother who happens to have a child with somebody who happens to be an illegal immigrant. So here's the pictures that are going all across social media right now. Of course, they make Karoline Leavitt look kind of like a, resting bitch face there. But that's her brother up here. That's the illegal immigrant. That's the baby they have who's now 11 years old. And then they blurred his face there, but not here. Interesting. But anyway. So a couple days ago, by a couple days ago, I do mean 2 weeks ago, the mother of Karoline Leavitt's brother's baby, because that's how you have to say it when you're gossiping about all this kind of stuff, was pulled over for a traffic stop, and then she was detained by ICE. Now, according to a lot of people on social media, Karoline Leavitt and her brother conspired together to call ICE on the ex-fiance to have her out of the picture. That's what they're saying. They're saying that the son, the 11-year-old, lives with Michael Leavitt and his wife and their baby, and that the son has a relationship with the illegal mother, but they don't live together. And I don't know why ICE was called, or if ICE was called. There's still not any definitive answers on this. It's just a lot of speculation right this second. But according to everybody on the internet who happens to know everything, they're saying that ICE was called by Karoline Leavitt. And it's just ironic that, she would use that tactic to get her technically nephew's mom deported. Here's the thing that I find very interesting. One, she probably has nothing to do with this. Karoline Leavitt probably doesn't have anything to do with this. If you really want to get super gossipy and just guessing in the dark here, maybe it's the current wife who called ICE on the ex because, maybe she didn't want that woman around anymore. You just never know. What if the husband still has feelings for the ex? It could be this whole kind of teenage drama, whatever, right? What's crazy, in my opinion, besides all of this, is the fact that Daily Beast in 2014, they wrote an article about how Leavitt's brother won $1 million as part of a fantasy football competition, including him saying that Ferreira, is how you say her name, I believe, was his fiance at the time. They never did get married, all right? Never once did they get married, but they did have a baby together, 8-month-old son. And it's been, a decade or whatever since then. But they're talking about the fact that Michael Leavitt and his wife have full custody of the baby. The mom is now in detention center for the last 2 weeks, about to get deported, and how her legal status technically ran out in 1999. So her name is Karoline Ferreira, which is interesting. Karoline Leavitt, Karoline Ferreira. Anyway, he was engaged to a woman with his sister's name. That's a weird one to yell out in bed, right? Anyway, so she happened to be a Brazilian native, and she is obviously the mother of Karoline Leavitt's 11-year-old nephew. And then they're talking here about how her legal status ran out in 1999. What's crazy to me is you have people right now screaming at the top of their lungs about President Trump and how ICE is going around just, snatching people up willy-nilly from schools, from homes, from work, wherever else, traffic stops. But they don't seem to have a problem with the fact that Barack Obama deputized local cops under the Immigration and Nationality Act to deport millions of illegals. So they had 72 agencies with 1,600 officers when Obama was president. And those officers helped remove between 4 and 5 million illegals, more than any president before that. Yet nobody really talks about that. And now the left has, crickets on it when they're talking about President Trump having illegal immigrants removed. They're all pissy about, ICE agents. They're having their protests and, outside these detention centers acting a whole ass fool, especially in Portland, where they thought getting naked and laying down in the road was going to solve something. Still not quite sure exactly what that was. But for some reason, it's only a problem when President Trump does it, or a Republican president. Let's be fully honest about it. But when Obama did it, they applauded it. When Biden let them all in, they applauded it. But now that President Trump is basically doing the exact same thing that President Barack Obama did, they have an issue with it. Listen, this woman that is bringing all this stuff to light, and the reason why Karoline Leavitt's name is being dragged across social media, the fact is she's been here since she was 6 or 7 years old. She's been here for a very long time, and she's a grown-ass woman and is still illegal. She had all that time to do the paperwork to become a legal citizen. I don't feel bad for her. And I don't care if people have a problem with that. I think that if you step back and look at all of these situations, it's like, okay, if I had 20 years to get something done and I didn't do it, I'm pretty sure that's my fault and my problem, and not the fault of our government or, the ICE agents who are going to detain me or whatever else. So them dragging Karoline Leavitt right now because her brother was engaged to somebody who was a dreamer. At that point, she technically had legal status as a dreamer, right? And then they didn't get married, but they do have a baby. The kid has citizenship because he was born here in the United States of America to a dreamer and a legal citizen. So the kid is not going to get deported, obviously. And he's got, the dad has legal custody of him, but the mom is going to have to go back because in the whole time she was here, she did not bother to get legalized. And why are we supposed to feel bad about that? Why are we supposed to, I hate it for her. I honestly do. Two things can be true. You can want illegal immigrants out of your country, and you can feel bad when people are deported. It's okay to have two different feelings of, listen, these are the laws, these are the rules, this is what you need to abide by to be in this country, and feel bad that, families are being pulled apart, or that people you may know, people you may love are getting sent back. It's okay to feel bad about it. I know plenty of people that probably were not legal when I was back in my corporate America days. They probably were not legal in the jobs the jobs they had a lot of times were held by illegal immigrants. And it's possible some of them have been deported. If I found out, I'd be like, man, that sucks. I really like that person. They were great. They worked hard. But at the end of the day, if you're breaking the law, you should have to pay the consequences of breaking the law. Michael Leavitt's ex-fiance, Karoline or Carolyn, I don't know if it's Caroline or Carolyn. Now, Leavitt, not Leavitt, they weren't married. At the, y'all, I'm having a brain fart. She did not do what she was supposed to do to become legal. So, world's smallest violin and Crimea River, all those different things, but I don't feel bad. It sucks the kid's not going to see his mom, but at the same time, they could always take him to wherever she's from, Brazil, and go visit her and come back because they are illegal and they can get passports. There's always a solution to a problem. You just have to be willing to find it, right? Anyway, so that's what's going on right now. I'm sure you guys have heard about it. It's all over the news and social media. It's going to be something that they just drag out and try to make it, look like a Republican issue and crap all over Karoline Leavitt. It's not that big a deal. They found something with a tie and used it to drag MAGA and Republicans through the mud. It is what it is. It's not that big a deal. They weren't married. And like I said, she had all that time in the world to become legal and she didn't. Hate it for her. That's it. I just wanted y'all to know. I love y'all. Okay, goodbye.